Thank you. What is that one experience that you've had to endure during your career journey, and that which put a lot of pressure on you, that which had your leadership skills, management skills tested, and you came out successful? Please share with this panel.
That would take me back to the bench. There was the radical surgery that happened in the judiciary. And at the time the radical surgery was happening, I was on maternity leave. So I was posted in Mombasa at the time, which was the hotbed of politics of magistrates at the time. And so out of the magistrates we had, everybody was sent home as a result. And only the chief magistrate, the deputy head of station, survived. One other magistrate was on leave, and then myself. So in a station that used to have about 12 magistrates, were left only 4. And I found myself having to work 4 courts in a day. So I would do the civil bench, I would do the criminal bench, I would do the municipal court, and I would do the children's court. And I still had an infant at home. I was supposed to be on flexi hours, but there was no time for flexing hours. Now, this was not all housed in the same place. So the civil and the criminal court was in the same house. But municipal, I had to cross over to the county government, and the children's court, I had to cross over to Tononoka. Did not have a car. I was one of those people who lived within my means, so I was using tuk-tuks and public transport. That was the time when I felt the pressure of work. But by the time I was leaving Tononoka law courts, I think I hold the record as the only magistrate who cleared all her matters in court. I used to wait for people to file cases. I was that fast and efficient. You know, you get to a place where you learn how to be efficient. So interlocutory applications and things like that, there was no time for that. You come, we hear your matter, we finish. Judgments were delivered within minutes. I'll tell counsel, give me 20 minutes, I've written their judgments. And I got to a place where I had finished all my children's court matters. I used to wait for people to file matters, and then I'm told, you can come now, we have a few cases. So I think that's a time when I was stretched to the limit and I had to sort of elevate my game. And I'm glad I was successful, because even by the time I was resigning from judiciary, every single file that I handled had final orders. There's nobody I left in abeyance. I finished everything on my desk.
So what inspired the resignation? You seemed like you were enjoying your job.
I was. Several things. First and foremost, I told you that time, gross salary was 60,000. It was not much at the time. It's not much even now. And the thing with me is that I'm a strong believer. I got to a place where the money wasn't making sense. Now, the easy way out would have been to find more creative means of augmenting my earnings. I wasn't going to do that. I am more interested in seeing heaven than I am in living comfortably on earth. And so when push came to shove, that was a fairly easy decision to make. But the other decision that pushed me over the edge was that I had been transferred to Murang'a, and it was in 2008 when there was post-election violence. Now, with a surname like Masinde, Murang'a was not exactly a place where a mother with 2 young babies wanted to be. So there was this furore. One day, I think something happened, and there was Mungiki shut down the town, and I was locked in for 7 days. When I was done with that experience, I was like, look, even what I'm earning, surely, let my LLB speak for me. That's when I gave it up, because I realized I wasn't making enough, and at that time it was endangering my life and my children's lives. And I decided, well, let's go try and see what's out there.
So, seeing the post-election violence that you underwent, as a chairperson, what are you willing to do differently that will impact on the lives of the future and the future of most Kenyans in the future elections?
One of the things that causes post-election violence is the fact that people feel robbed. They feel wronged. They feel like they participated in a process and they're not satisfied with the outcome. And when you have that dissatisfaction, it comes to a boil. Of course, there were other factors that had nothing to do with the election, but the primary reason why people are dissatisfied with the elections is just because they simply cannot understand what went on. One of the things that I'm hoping to be able to do is have transparency for the process, end to end. Let every observer understand exactly what is going on. Simplify the process. So, for example, the last election was, by standards, incrementally, it was one of the best that we have run so far. Having been an observer for several years, I can say this authoritatively. The last election was actually very well run. There's only one place where we floundered. Now, the KIMS kits that we have got several capabilities. One of the capabilities it has is to transmit results. For some reason, we chose not to use that aspect and decided to have people come to Nairobi to verify the hard copies before we could transmit the result. Now, that process took so long that in that 5-6 days, it gave room for theories and other things to come forward. And what that does, it festers. So by the time things are coming to a boil, even if there's no spark, the spark appears. So keeping the process transparent, clear, honest, so that when people observe, they're satisfied with whatever results they get.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Joy.
Asante.
Joy, you